Hi, my name is Aaron Riles, and welcome to Do It Live Autonomy podcast. Today on our show, we are joined by Samantha and a bunch of amazing autonomy students. Uh, Today, we will be talking about our favorite highlights from the past week. And boy, what a week it's been. We are halfway through. We are leaving the fear zone and going straight to the growth zone. So I am really eager to discuss a couple topics today with you. We had a wonderful gatekeeper, how to score on gatekeeper workshop, and we all know you got to take those shots. So we will be discussing more about our thoughts and feelings on that. We also had a wonderful Friday night lecture, really helping us get our feet into sales. And I, for one, have been eating a lot of crow on my pejorative beliefs of sales, and I have turned myself around, and I can't wait to discuss that with you. I would also like to just point out a few things like behind the scenes, what goes on. We've got a newly open Agora marketplace with some new t-shirts, as well as a new little podcast from Joshua Hale going over the AI tools of the week. All right. Well, without further ado, Friday night's lecture on sales. And I just wanted to share this one quick slide with you. Communication of value is sales. Well, for me, this was something that I guess I knew to be true in my heart, but I've always been reticent of calling myself a salesman. I always kind of felt that there was something unethical about how to do it. And over the course of a 3.5, 4 hour lecture with Richard Grove, man, that humble pie has never tasted so good. I now see that my whole life I have been a salesman. And I was trying to do it the right way, but now I've come out of the forest and into the light, and I can't wait to discuss with you all today what your thoughts and feelings were about our Friday night lecture. Would anybody like to start us off with their thoughts? Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, I'll go. I would like to just recognize how everyone continues to overproduce as advertised, and everyone seems to be at a different place on the continuum, and everyone is growing up and showing up in their own way. And I, for one, am so appreciative. And so thank you all, and for everything we're learning and the impact of going forward that I sense is about to happen. So this has been a fantastic experience. I am officially have taken the off-ramp from the mainstream Autobahn, and excited about where this goes. And I don't know where it goes, but it's exciting. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, the pejorative word, the pejorative form of sales. I myself have to sell in my line of work. I'm a contractor, and I only offer my services to folks that really need it. And now I understand why. You can't sell something that you don't stand behind, that you don't believe in, and that somebody doesn't need. And so I really would like to open this conversation on sales. I know we're only about halfway through, but I would like anybody to chime in on their thoughts of how did our Friday night lecture change your opinion of sales?
I can chime in maybe, because for me, I have absolutely no experience in sales. So what hit it home was actually this listening, that it's more about listening.
Mhm.
And I noticed for me it was, okay, listening, that is something in my job, there was a lot of listening and interview and finding out and building trust to a person. So that was never a connection I made actually when it came to sales. So the sales, superficial view of sales, I'm definitely one of those persons who had that view of someone just wanting to sell you something. So that was quite interesting for me to hear that.
Yeah, the always be observing, always be listening, looking to identify a problem. These were all things that I think made sense after the concepts were brought to us. But prior to it, many of us may have had a bit of a chore trying to tease all those out of an ethical sales idea. I think that the definition of sales in a general cultural sense is one of consumerism definition of sales, to where you're just meeting an immediate emotional need. But I think a big part of the technique that Richard is bringing to us is taking it that extra step further and seeing if we can connect up more with a need, not just an emotional feeling. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I suppose I'll chime in here. There's quite a few things in this area that I really feel strongly about. Certainly, what you were talking about, and maybe a little bit of a twist on that is, ethical sales is that idea of delivering value to establish trust, and then using that trust to deliver more value and kind of building in a relationship. And I think I do a lot of asking questions nowadays about trust, like how do you build trust? And a lot of people just don't really understand how to build trust. And if you said sales was a way to build trust, I'm sure most people would say, what? But the reality is that that's one of those interesting pieces of the puzzle that I think, have been obscured by the systematic approach to, kind of manipulating people. And, I think that's kind of one of the reactions. People don't like to be manipulated. And because of it, and sales being kind of the symbol of manipulation, at least, to most people, it's become something that a lot of people don't like, and a lot of people have a hard time with. But the reality is that it is that opportunity to build trust and build a trusting relationship. The second thing is, in that one of the videos, that acronym SELL, and the idea of sincerity and encouragement and listening and loving being the things that you revolve around, I think is also really significant. And then the other thing is the problem solving part of it, and like if you combine all three of those things, wow, what a wonderful, way to live. And I'm still working on it myself, because I do feel like the current monetary system is one in which it is a bit of a, for lack of a better term, mind fuck. Money as debt, the symbol of the, the current currency is essentially a dead instrument. And to a large degree, it's part of the system, it's part of that screwed up system that we're a part of. But I think, that's another thing that Rich has said, that idea of value for value, of, like just getting into the idea of an exchange of one valuable thing for something else valuable. If you got that over there and I can use that, that's valuable to me. I'll exchange that for this that's valuable to you. If you start to figure it that way, I think that's one of the things that, as far as our community is concerned, the better we get at understanding that there's a lot of valuable things and that we bring a lot of value in a lot of different ways, not just, how much cash we got in our pocket, the better off we are.
Yeah. You said something there that just kind of gave me a thought, talking about how we have a debt-based currency. And it can feel like sometimes sales is trying to enslave a person, enslave them in a loan they can't manage easily, or saddle them with a product that they don't quite need. And I'm always thinking of how would things have gone 150 years ago? What would sales have looked like 150 years ago? And I would bet a milkshake, it looks a lot like the framework Richard laid out for us. It would be meeting needs. 150 years ago, there wasn't fractional reserve lending and hyper-financialization of every facet of our economy, thus sort of corrupting how we all do what it is that we're trying to do, which is really just meet each other's needs by meeting our own needs. I have a product to sell you, you have a need for it. Let's be honest, sincere, and get to it. So that just kind of struck me as you were saying that yeah, it could be just an unintended byproduct of where we are at in this economic cycle, where our ability to thread the needle with sales and stay away from miring our potential clients in a situation that they may not be very thankful for down the road. Yeah, a couple things. I want to share another slide here from last night. The Pareto principle and sales, good old 80-20 rule. We're familiar with this in other ways. The first time I was introduced to Pareto was, they say 80% of the work is done by the 20%. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to think I'm in that 20% that gets the work done. But this was a different take on it. And as a person who talks and enjoys conversation, this slide really struck me to my core and really gave me a reason for cultivating my own silence while interacting with the clients and customers that I have in front of me. I often have to tell myself that when I start to repeat myself, that's when I gotta, cut myself off and allow my clients to have a moment to process and then to, engage me back. But a lot of what Richard was talking about was really just reframing our mindset away from waiting for that space to sell. I forget the video, but it was right at the end of our lecture where it's like, kind of the analogy that was used of intercourse and sales. Often the salesman can arrive at the end far before the client is ready. And I think that this slide here is at the heart of that. So I just wanted to share that with you and see if anybody had anything to say about that.
Well, okay.
I'll go ahead, Dave.
I have something I would like to build on what Samantha said and what you just said, Aaron, and that is the quality of the listening and thinking. There's listening and thinking, what we call normal listening and thinking, but what was emphasized here was a deeper quality. And when you bring in more awareness to the listening and thinking, it changes the quality of everything. And I think most people are tuned into what we call normal listening, where you're waiting for your chance to jump in or thinking about what you're going to say. But when you really tune in to the other person and hear them as they are expressing themselves, all of a sudden, the whole quality changes in the conversation. And I think that is, I'll just call it heart listening in this moment. In the SELL, S-E-L-L, the love part, the heart, when you truly are hearing somebody, then something new can come up. And that's where sales really can change, and everybody wins from that space of listening. And so
Oh,
that's what I got from that.
Dave, I love it. And that dovetails into the nonviolent communication that we were introduced with, the listening from the heart, and really trying to build a skill set of understanding needs as a universal. Now, it's a bit broad for all sales applications, but I think the practice of it, the orientating yourself to that love energy, when you orientate yourself and show that you're coming from that place of love, people see it. They see it in how you carry yourself. They hear it in how you sound, and they will remember it after you've gone. So I really appreciate you bringing up that portion. Yeah, sell with love. Could it be so easy?
So my
Anyone else?
observation, if you don't mind,
Please,
um,
Ruth.
I think it goes back to the indoctrination that we all grew up in, because we weren't taught to ask questions. I even can remember being a little girl and being told you should be seen and not heard, and don't ask questions. I mean, it's ingrained in me. So I think most of the population also has that sort of indoctrination, and that's part of the problem. So
Absolutely. I think that that's something that has that seen and not heard has slowly drifted out of our culture. But even when I was in school, my teachers would mark down for the substitute teachers, Aaron, he's a question asker. And so when the substitute would get there and be like, Aaron, oh, you're going to ask questions. And it's like, this is school. Why am I not allowed to ask questions? So yeah, I think, for the sake of, we got to get to that 45-minute schedule. We got to stick within this. I've got my syllabus. You need to have your practice. Yeah, we're just taught to just throw those questions on the back burner, whether or not we think they have any merit. And you won't know if they have merit unless we ask them. And that's kind of maybe a good way to segue into the next topic, unless somebody would like to add here, which is our gatekeeper workshop. How do you score on gatekeepers? Well, you take shots. And you take shots by asking questions, taking control of the conversation. And wow, Tuesday night, what a wonderful collaboration of this autonomous community in going over real life experiences of getting on the phone, talking to someone, getting past that person who it's their job to just get you to go away, and how to have integrity and show your true self, but not in a forceful way and just get past those gatekeepers so you can get on with what it is you need to do and talk to who you need to talk to get things done. I found that Richard and Leah added so much value in that conversation. I could probably talk for an hour about our gatekeeper workshop. I'll give you my quick takeaway, and then I'd like to open it up to hear what the rest of you took. But the one simple thing that Leah said, it was so simple, and yet for me, it was so powerful. And it was just simply with kindness and courtesy saying, I'm going to take this all the way to who I need to take it to. So why don't you not waste my time and your time and just go ahead and send me on up the chain so I can discuss things with who I need to discuss with. For me, that's just so simple. And yet, especially when we're on the phone, I feel like we want to just go to a sense of force or anger. Oh, get me the manager, as if you're going to go tattle on someone or get the teacher. Like, oh, so I just felt that it was it's so simple. You're not the droid I'm looking for. Send me on up the chain, please. So that was my big takeaway. I would love to hear from you guys. What did you guys take away from scoring on those gatekeepers?
Aaron, shall I play a quick clip out of it?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you hear me?
Hope you broke up a little bit on me.
No.
Is my audio out?
No, it's me.
Oh.
I have a story. May I share quickly? I love the gatekeeper, and I put it to the test. And I thought, okay, I have my progressive car insurance coming up. I noticed the rate had gone up, and nothing. I didn't change anything, so I thought I'm going to try this out. And like you, Aaron, I thought, okay, just be kind, be present, and set the tone for something new to happen. And sure enough, I called. I go, oh, well, what's your name? Well, where are you? And she was in Texas. My name's Nicole. She said, I said, oh, I'm Dave. I'm in Maine. And we talked. We had a little bit of a synchronization. And then I asked her, I said, maybe you could help me find the page of the numbers, but I can't figure out why this went up. And she goes, this is one of my favorite kind of calls. Somebody wants to know the why. And when she said that, I was like, oh, wow, that is so cool that you said that. And then we started to talk. And the next thing I know, she said, oh, would you like to transfer me over? Would you like me to transfer you over to she said some initials about some person who could change anything. And I said, well, actually, I wonder, do you have any authority to give me any discounts? And she gave me a discount, and right on the spot. And then she said, oh, would you like me to transfer you over? And I said, am I likely to have any results with this new transferred place? And she goes, probably not. I think I covered everything. And I said, well, then there's no need for me to tell this story again. I'm pleased. So thank you very much. And I said, well, who's your supervisor? Because you did a great job with customer service. He goes, oh, I'm Nicole Pitcher, like in the baseball. And I said, well, you hit it out of the park. Thank you for your service. And that was the end of the call, and everybody won. It was beautiful. So thank you for the gatekeeper. I got to put it to the test, and it's true. It works if you're present and kind and don't go in where you're making demands, then magic happens, or has the potential to happen.
Yeah, and if you go one step further, If you have a good customer service, they've helped you out. What you do, if it's a recurring relationship, let's say it's your oil company, your electric company, cable company, what have you, figure out how to give them a testimonial, or get their boss, like say, send me your email. I'm going to send you a reference letter. You forward it up the chain to your boss. They're usually cool with that. They're usually not up for giving you the boss's direct contact information because they want to keep their job and they don't know you. But if you say, I'm going to send you a reference letter. Should you ever need a job, if they ever let you go, I'm going to, these are things that help people. Seriously.
Yes.
And I've used those for 20 or 30 years. So it's not just making rapport and getting the deal. It's then hooking them up so you can call them back and get another deal in the future. What they need is internally someone telling their boss that they're doing a great job. Because if they say it to their boss, the boss doesn't believe them, right? But when a customer comes and says, this person right here makes me want to keep doing business with you. I was about to leave and they really hooked me up and showed me the light. They're going to appreciate that internally, as long as they didn't like give away the farm.
No, hardly give away the farm, but thank you. I hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that, Dave, you also touched on something there, which was approaching that person in a way where you were able to find a common language. You were able to listen and hear her use some language that resonated with you, and that really helped change the tone. And I wonder, if in going further, there are ways for us to really understand that there is a common language when we are dealing with a customer care person on the phone or that customer representative in the store. If we've all had those type of jobs, we kind of understand the internal language that they use. You got your metrics, you've got time on the phone and all that. And I think if you show them like, hey, I'm trying to be, I know you don't, you're going to get penalized if you and I are on the phone too long. Let's just quickly kind of step through this. And if it's going to get escalated, let it be. And yeah, you just kind of made me think of perhaps when we are trying to take shots on these gatekeepers, familiarizing ourselves a little bit with their common workplace parlance might really behoove us so that we can kind of get in the back door, use their language. And I think Richard was kind of speaking to that too, being able to say, hey, let me give you a testimonial and I really appreciate what you did and I'd love to tell your boss about it. That's that same kind of workplace language, which, if you're working on a job site, yeah, there's not much of, let me go tell the foreman how good of a job you did nailing that board in, not really. But in these circumstances where you are dealing with, a customer care person and they may not be getting, their job may not be the most pleasant. They may just be there trying to get through because the things that matter most to them in life isn't taking care of you, the customer, it's getting home to care for whoever's at home. And so, yeah, I really appreciate the way you spoke about that, Dave. I think that it will give me something to marinate on over the next week or so. Anybody else have something to say about the Gatekeeper workshop?
I missed the Gatekeeper workshop, but I want to share a story.
Please.
I worked at a phone company, not a phone company, it's called 211. I think every state has it, just information. And we will get some prank calls and then we will get like people that just want the information right away. Why can't you do your job and stuff like that? And then I would get like customers that would call and they were just like, oh, I'm so happy to hear your voice. And I was like, what? I didn't hear that on the call before. So it changed my body, my mentality of like, oh, they're just happy to hear a voice because we forget that they're on hold in an automated message. Please hold, please hold. The next representative is like 4 minutes, sometimes like half an hour. And I forget, that they're on hold. So when I would answer, they'll be like, oh, I'm so just glad to hear your voice. I was like, oh, okay, well, they just want to get a hold of somebody. They're so tired of talking to a machine and pushing buttons. So Just want to share that. So it does change your mentality when people hear, I'm just happy to hear your voice. I'm happy I'm talking to you. Because that is lacking nowadays.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I'm happy you're talking with us too, Connie. Triggering your complexity, I see.
Yes.
Uh,
Thank you.
just a short aside, I was paired with Connie a few weeks back in a breakout room, and I discovered that she is taking autonomy after her husband took autonomy. And it was wonderful. It was like getting a vision of myself a year from now. I'm taking autonomy. My wife will be taking it soon. And, you know, if I'm not sharing too much, Connie, you were a little nervous. You're like, well, at least I put my camera on this time. And thankfully, it was just two of us in the breakout room. So I think it made it a little easier for you. But right after that, you got up and got out there and asked Richard some questions, and now you're here participating. And I just want to say, Connie, that's so wonderful to see you grow so much in just a short time. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm still breaking the sweat inside, but thank you.
Oh, you did it. It's over. Hey, I totally understand. I have two shirts on just to contain the sweat. So
You're doing great.
oh, thank you. But yeah, gatekeepers. We all have to deal with them. And I think it's one of those things that, Connie, you'd raise another really important part in that for us, this may be the one time we deal with a gatekeeper this week. Whereas the gatekeepers we're dealing with, it's their job and we don't know where they are at. Are they a secretary who knows what they're doing? Or are they just a customer care professional who's just going off a script? You know, listening from the heart. You can do it even when you're trying to get something from them. And I'm sure they appreciate it. I have to deal with an insurance company regularly. They don't take automated payments, and I have to get my payments in on time. Otherwise, they tell the construction board that I'm not licensed and I can't operate. And so every once in a while, I'll forget to do it. And it must be a pretty common occurrence for when I talk to old Robin there, she's always kind of answering the phone, ready to do a little bit of triage. And I make sure to always just say, hey, Robin, how's it going? Sorry, I forgot this month. Let me get you my information and get this short and sweet. And every time she helps me out, and I can tell it just makes her day, helps turn her around. And I hope the customer that comes after me is their day is made better by that interaction. Did anybody else have anything that they wanted to add about the gatekeeper workshop?
I suppose I'll throw another a twist on this because
Yeah.
there is the other side of it where you as an expert have a particular amount of time to do things, and you do have to establish in some instances a gatekeeper, somebody that's going to basically meter the amount of time that you have exposure to your clients. And I had the circumstance, it was like the first time that I had a secretary or an administrative assistant, and introducing that person to the relationship that you have with your clientele is a great way to kind of create the circumstance of like building a larger relationship with your clients. So like in my case, in a lot of cases, I'm talking to the other person about, the construction details and stuff like that. And I've invited the administrative assistant to listen in and take notes. This was back in the day, when computers weren't such a big thing in construction. But, having that ability to just have her on up to speed on what those things were, but then also establish a relationship with the client that they know who she is. And that when they talk to her about certain things, that they don't have to get me to do that. She can take care of those things. And to me, I think that's also something that we can all benefit from, as entrepreneurs that are growing and scaling our businesses, that in a lot of cases, we don't have to play all the roles. We don't have to wear all the hats, that we can put people in positions to be those, that kind of, to take on that kind of role. and do it in a way that is genuine.
Mm.
And so like having that circumstance where we can kind of build a relationship by introducing new people on our team to our clients, and then have it so that, if they can't get a hold of you, they can get hold of them. And so instead of being unsatisfied or, have a problem that doesn't have an answer to, they can have that answer.
Yeah, that would raise a very good question on that front. What would gatekeeping done right look like? If we were going to set up a gatekeeper for our business and we wanted to take forward the principles of autonomy, a culture of excellence, in integrity, how would we want to set up our gatekeeper so that it wasn't such an unnecessary stumbling block, but that it still served its purpose, like you were saying? I think that would be a very interesting question to continue to explore through autonomy. And it may be something that we could touch on real quick, or it may be something that would be left to marinate and save for the next time. Does anybody have thoughts on what they might want their gatekeeper to look like?
I think transparent communication going both ways is essential. And because we are not trained to do that, to have that skill, I think that what autonomy could offer might be a workshop in transparent communication. What it is, what it looks like to serve your boss and to serve the customer, and to be that person in between that creates circumstances where everybody wins. I don't think it would be difficult, but we're just not taught that.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that makes me just think, yeah, transparent communication is something I would love to deal with when talking with a gatekeeper. Someone who could eloquently say, look, I get these calls 50 times a day, and this is the sort of proper channel. But how would we want that person? Yeah, no, I'm getting all sorts of ideas that could be pretty good. Yeah.
Hey, Aaron,
Yes.
am I coming through? Sorry
Yeah.
for the low internet connection. Shall I play a quick clip of the gatekeeper exercise? Would you
I think
like
this would
to?
be a great time for that. Thank you, Samantha.
You're welcome. I think so. This is just where they start playing the roles. So let's try this. Let me know if it works.
The general operator or the secretary for the.
Yeah, she probably just like a university secretary or some sort, maybe in that division, I suppose.
Okay, Hannah, you're in the division, you're the secretary, you're the operator for the construction at the university, and your boss doesn't like to take phone calls. But he's sitting over there right now, and Carl needs to talk to him. Okay, ring, ring.
Fantastic.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Am I speaking with Hannah? I suppose I looked up your
Are
name.
you a stalker?
No, I thought this was your work
calling the
number.
school?
Should I call back later?
I don't know if you know
I
my
mean-
name this time.
Yeah. Okay.
We can pretend
So-
that you called in before.
Hi, this is Hannah. How can I help you?
Actually, I'm sure
got
you're
it.
quite busy, so let me just get to the point.
How can I help?
I'm actually a design consultant working with a very interesting construction management software startup, and I understand that at Carnegie Mellon, you guys are building a new computer science wing, and I thought our software might be able to help with your process, and I was wondering if you knew anyone I could talk to get more information, or who's in charge of that particular process, or even just their email address. And if you'd like, I'd be glad to forward you some information about our company before you send that forward. But do you think that would be interesting, or yeah.
Have you tried calling this office before? I'm not even supposed to give out emails.
Oh, well, I'm actually an alumni. I've been to this building
Oh.
all the time. If you want, I could come by in person. I only live a couple hours away. And
Oh,
yeah,
well,
so
no, if you're an alumni, you could probably find the email online anyway. I probably could give it to you.
okay, well, thank you. And actually, do you do you have Mr. Smith's calendar available? I would only need 5 or 10 minutes to just briefly pitch the software and see if he's interested. Maybe a Friday morning, or what would be convenient?
Well, why don't you send the email and then I will see if he's interested and then we can go from there.
Okay, sounds good. And I'll send it to you, and I'll CC him, and I'll follow up next week. So thank you very much for your time. And
Thank you.
if you like, you can tell me the email over the phone.
Fantastic. ABC123 at UNE.
Okay. dot edu, right? Okay.
Yeah, .edu.
Thanks, Anna.
Wow, that was Carl persisting despite Hannah's resisting. Yeah, that was just a quick little taste of our gatekeeper workshop. And yeah, things went on from there. It is a great thing, the workshop, where we could listen to folks practice. And it's a wonderful thing within the community to have the ability to practice these skills. You're not always going to think, oh, well, oh, I should interject this. Oh, yeah, I need to push for that. And that's one of the most wonderful things I find about my experience so far in autonomy. I am just loving the interacting, doing the exercises, doing the workshops. I am finding so much value in this community. So before I move on to discussing our mastermind groups and how much value can be squeezed out of that, does anybody have any last things to say about our gatekeeper workshop? All right, well, moving along to our masterminds. Here we are halfway through our autonomy season, and our mastermind groups are entering their 4th full week. I've been in the hot seat. I hope some of you are. I can tell you, I just went through the hot seat last week, and boy, was it a crucible experience. Phenomenal. You know, when Napoleon Hill writes in Think and Grow Rich about the mastermind group, words don't do it justice. I see that my team leader Chris is in attendance, and it is just phenomenal how much value I was able to eke out of such a short time in the hot seat. And I, for one, am ready to jump back in as soon as I get the opportunity. Has anyone else have anything to say about their mastermind group or their time in the hot seat? All right. Well, you know, definitely the mastermind group for me was one of the sort of unrecognized gems going into this. I thought, you know, for sure, the stuff I would benefit most from would be the mindset stuff. I have a little voice inside that loves to kind of tear me down. But my mastermind group really helped me figure out some very helpful ways around that. Using the Pomodoro technique, Chris suggested I give myself just 5 minutes for a little bit of negative self-talk and cut it off there. And believe it or not, it works incredibly well. I'll set that timer and say, all right, it's time for a 5-minute pity party of how I can't do any of this. And then I'm going to leave it all there and do it. I'm just going to go do it. And yeah, I don't schedule that time. It's up to me. And when I feel that voice start to kind of crowd out the positive, I say, all right, it's time for a 5-minute little pity party, and then I'm done for the day. No more of this. And that was just one of the most helpful things that maybe I could have got there on my own through trial and error and just saying, oh, hey, this Pomodoro technique worked great for scheduling time to go work on weeding in the backyard or to take time to do some emails and get back in touch with folks I needed to get in touch with. But it may not have occurred to me for some time to use it in a way to allow myself to have that time that I'm trying to avoid, to give it its own place, to give it its own area, and then to just leave it there so I can move on. This leads me to something that was shared with us by Rawad. Oh, now my phone won't link up, but it was the graphic of going from comfort zone to the slightly wider circle of the fear zone to the slightly wider circle of the learning zone and then out to the growth zone. This mastermind group that I am in, I feel is propelling me straight through the fear zone, and I am living comfortably in that learning zone. And I just am curious, is anybody else getting that kind of value out of their group?
Yeah, and I'll add to that. So I was in the hot seat last week on Tuesday with my group, and yeah, I love it. I would probably say it's not necessarily just the mastermind, but also kind of the problem solving that you get during the Q&As as well. It's my favorite part of autonomy. Super helpful, and you put yourself out there, outside your comfort zone, but then the support you get is amazing. And I've never really experienced that before. And yeah, so valuable and learned so much. And it's also just great helping others as well. Yeah, just really like it. And I'm looking forward to our next mastermind as well.
Yeah, thank you for that, Oliver. I agree that there is a beautiful symbiosis between the Q&A and the mastermind groups. And it kind of even just extends into some of the side discussions I seem to have while doing my exercises. It is so refreshing to have a group of like-minded individuals where we are coming to work. It's not like going to the community gym where someone might sit there and look at their phone while walking on the treadmill while someone else is blowing their muscles out doing deadlifts. No, this is a focused dojo of a master class in Taekwondo where we are all pushing it to the limit, and it feels great. I can't wait to give you my all because I know that each and every one of you are trying to give me your all. And yeah, helping someone solve their problems and having them help solve my problems, what a gift. And yet going into autonomy, week one, I would not have guessed how much I would have enjoyed the mastermind. For me, I'm at a point in my life where I would have said, well, I'm kind of, maybe it could offer me something, but maybe not. And I'll eat all those words and tell you, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're up to, finding a group of people to discuss and ruminate on things that are taking up some of your cognitive function, man, it is just fast tracking you to success. And so, yeah, I just I am just blown away by that experience. Anybody else have anything to share about their mastermind group, or maybe some of the Q&A, since we
Well, I'll throw something in there that, Stephanie had posted a slide from the presentation of the lecture that is a quote from Jay Abraham. I'll quote it. It says, "You are the solution to somebody else's overcoming their challenges who doesn't yet realize it." And I think that's definitely one of the discoveries that I think a lot of people have in the masterminds, is that, we have a lot in common. A lot of the problems that we have, we've all had our version of it. And, getting those different perspectives really takes the edge off a lot of the difficulties and challenges and obstacles that we all have to face. And, when it doesn't feel like it's just you against the world, it makes it a whole lot different. And so I do feel like that's definitely one of the benefits of the mastermind, is that ability to really recognize I'm not alone in this, and I'm not the only one that sees this difficulty, or this it's having problems with this particular situation. This is a common occurrence, and so it's not that big of a deal. I would say the other thing is just that ability to kind of hone yourself, to know yourself and know the skills and abilities that you have, and through the interaction with other people. Because I definitely feel like in the masterminds that I've been involved in, there have been a number of people that have discovered something about themselves that they may have known, or maybe they had a hint about, but they didn't really think of that as one of their strengths. And having multiple people say, "Yeah, you got that. Yeah, that's you," is all the difference in the world. I think there's, I'm not sure which book it comes from, but there's one about like the overachievers, the people that that really have made it big. It's typically somebody saying something to them that encourages them, that made the entire difference, and made them, or, gave them that little push that they needed to take that next step. And I would say that that's certainly something that's happening in the masterminds.
Yes, I agree. Coming together and sharing your wins, and then going on to kind of, explain when you're in the hot seat. Some of us maybe haven't spoken out loud some of the stuff we're struggling with. And like you said, just speaking those things out loud in a way can allow you to cognitively work through them and discover those things about yourself. And I am making discoveries about myself all the time with this autonomy material. I mean, we could rename it autonomy, discover yourself. It's truly one of those things that I have found just a wealth of little tidbits about myself that have it's like trimming some of the dead material out of the forest to let that sunlight shine down for new growth. I'll share just something really quick. My whole life, I've had terrible penmanship, and all my teachers sort of derided my penmanship. And so then I went, and very young, I was first into computers, typing away. Well, then of course, I was typing wrong because I'm a 2-finger typer. And my teachers always saying, oh, well, you're not typing right. Oh, your penmanship's terrible. Led me to kind of have a complex about writing. And I've always had this reticence towards writing, and I never quite fully fleshed out where that came from until going through this autonomy material. And all of a sudden, it just settled with me in this emotional way. That was just like a very huge aha moment. That critique, oh, you're writing, oh, you're typing. I don't even know how I let it keep me from writing. But every time I'd kind of start to get to write, I'd have this reticence and I'd have to push past it. Well, since I've had that discovery of myself, I'm just writing, and yeah, you know, sloppy, but I'm writing and it's wonderful. And without connecting that up for myself, I might still have struggled to kind of throw all my notes together for this podcast, legible or not. So yeah, the little discoveries that come. And then yes, the quote from Stephanie was a wonderful quote. One of the things I liked about it, and it made me think, is there's a similar quote in the Buddhist world that says, everyone is fighting a fight you know nothing about. But the quote that she has made it more transformative. It made it so it's not, oh, that person's dealing with something you don't know anything about. Oh, that person's dealing with something no, it's you have something to share based on those things you're dealing with that they don't maybe know about. And so to me, there was kind of this beautiful activation of that quote in my mind and in my heart, that I saw that earlier, and just in trying to make sure I could deliver and perform for today, I just
I see Stephanie turned her camera on. Maybe she's got something to add.
I'll try it. Driving a stick right now. I went to Gleaners. Yeah, I wanted to share that I feel like I'm able to grow with autonomy, and autonomy is growing. Autonomy is growing with me. But those experiences that I did have, the lecture, and with it, was able to support me in stepping out of my matrix job. I would do that. And now I'm working on building something more, and everything else. It's just turbo boosting it. But I'm going to try, and I've got that mastermind group, and I've got this whole community here to support me. And I also wanted to say that the lecture last night, yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just like you said, Aaron, like trimming. We're just kind of trimming and making room for what will serve us. And so yeah, I really love that autonomy can like grow with me, and I can grow with it, if that makes sense.
absolutely, thank you for sharing that. It is amazing how these thoughts we can internalize about who we are, how we operate, can kind of become dead wood after a while. And like one of the videos in, I think, week 2 or week 3, where we were kind of learning how the body and the emotions try to keep us in stasis. And so when we move into an uncomfortable place, it tries to pull us back to those things that are not serving us anymore. And it takes direct attention to say, nope, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to very methodically nick this dead wood, not destroy the whole plant, just take off the pieces that are not worthwhile anymore, and see what blooms out of it. And yeah, I can only imagine that added value for the graduates that continue to stay in autonomy, and how, like you said, autonomy is just a beautiful catalyst for many different facets of a person, not just the internal, calming sort of the internal storm, but also giving you the ability to bounce ideas off people or to share your victories. And yeah, breakout rooms, Q&As, masterminds, all of these are just little pieces, but they can have gargantuan effects, especially as we continue to grow together. So thank you very much, Stephanie, for sharing those thoughts. Very much.
I have a comment about this present topic, and that is not only individually are each of us growing, and as I said at the beginning, and showing up, but autonomy is growing. And I think the next fractal level up is how autonomy will contribute to a larger group, and nationally and internationally, how we continue to grow. Oh, and actually that brings me to my mastermind, because in the beginning, when we had such a, it was a mystery. You go into the group you want, and I love that, because you can't have any predetermined thing who you're going to be with. And I ended up with an international group. And one of the things that I find is expanding is how culturally, even though people have similar issues that need addressing, there are cultural differences. And to be present for everybody's differences as well as their similarities is a surprise feature in the mastermind. And our guidance from previous autonomy instructors are they come into play, keeping us on course and with clarity and instructions. And I haven't been in the hot seat yet, and I said, well, I have some things, some bifurcation buoys coming up. I'll have to make a choice. So in 2 weeks, when I am in the hot seat, as I requested, I should be able to know more about what I want to accomplish with my mastermind group. But it's a surprise. It was a gift and a surprise that I didn't anticipate, like you, Aaron. And thank you for your story and being so real. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dave. And you know, when I did my mastermind, my goals weren't as fleshed out as they could be either. And part of what my team leader helped was facilitate some exploratory questions to flesh them out a little better. So I wouldn't worry about trying to have that all done yourself. Our team leaders are here to help ask those questions, to help get clarification on what it is we are trying to do. And it was an invaluable resource. You know, much like with folding in the stuff we learned from nonviolent communication, and you know, it's all starting to come into practice and fruition. And I really just appreciate all of you and this mastermind group so much. But that's not all. You know, we get treated to so many more things being in autonomy, which is, did anybody catch, is anybody into the AI Tools of the Week podcast that Joshua has been putting out? I know, Dave, you're into that. I personally am overwhelmed by what AI and all of this world is producing. And it just seems like daily it is growing and compounding. And to have someone like Joshua at the helm of a sweet little podcast is just phenomenal. So let's play this quick clip and we can go on. Thank you, Samantha.
Start with Google's new announcement. So Google just came out and announced that their AI is ready and they are making it public. And this is going to, really make it very attainable for everybody to tap into the power of AI. There's also consequences of this. Google is, so they just had this huge event yesterday. And so at this event, they unveiled their new AI tools. They really are, they have such an advantage already of being such a mega corporation that has their hands in so many different avenues of technology, but this AI is really going to be difficult to match. As you can see, they're releasing great tools for imaging, and like what really they have an edge on is like making it easy, and the average person can just bumble their way into the tool and use it, right? So that's going to be mass adoption, that people are going to be able to, people that haven't figured out how to use ChatGPT are going to be able to just go to the old Google search bar, which is now going to be merged with their AI language tool data set. And so people are going to now be able to interact with the Google search bar just like ChatGPT. And so the average person is now going to be able to take advantage of these things. This Palm 2 is like they're creating a smaller version. So think about ChatGPT as a downloadable version so that you could have a hard version on your phone for offline use, right? You a search bar that you could talk to, out in the woods, not connected to internet. They're making a small enough version to be able to be plugged into, the Internet of Things. So, and they just launched this. They're making it publicly available. This is the week of waiting list because I've signed up for about 5 waiting lists right now to get early access to these things. But they're releasing this to 180 countries, like either next week or in the next coming weeks. Not to spend too much on Google, but you can check out this video. I'll post it in the link below. But this AI is going to connect all their suites. So email, calendar, Drive, Google Photos. It really is going to add a massive amount of convenience. And then on the flip side of that, right, they're going to be able to have even more access to data, and they'll probably be the ones controlling the access to that. You probably won't have any sort of privacy whatsoever with anything that they make. Once you're logged in, it connects to your, there you go, boom, boom, boom. Oh, I missed it. Now it pops open on the side of your window. So you can ask it questions about the page that you're on, or you can just start talking to it. And the history does show up in your ChatGPT. So I found that useful. And in emails, when you start texting or typing, it will show up in the text area that you're working in. So that was helpful. Next up, cool tool of the week. All right, this one right here, Tango. Tango is a really powerful tool in order to create easy how-tos. And we're developing an SOP for autonomy, but how it works is you turn it on and you can then interact with your screen. So I click here, I go down here, I open up this folder, I then I then type in these words and then grab this information, and it grabs every step that you're making on that page. And let me show you, because that's a lot easier than saying it. So capture workflow, boom, this thing opens up on the side that you can't see. Oh, yeah, you can't see that. There we go. All right, on the left-hand side, you'll see I went to this page. Then I scrolled down to this section, and I was able to highlight, down here, because this was relevant, and it takes screenshots and video GIFs of each step that you're doing to be able to, then I go to this page, then it jumps over there, and then, this is very important, so I highlight this. So it captures every step that you're taking. So then when you're done, it automatically then creates a workflow of what you just did. So, trying to describe something that people are doing, you can then share this workflow of go here, click on this, here's a video showing what I just did. It highlights the sections of what I just took, the actions I just took. And so very rapidly, capture exactly what you're doing and then present it in a way that's, easy to follow, has animations showing you what you just did. And so for me, I'm going to be using the heck out of this. I think you can even use, this has potential for course creation, right? And instead of, doing a video where you're talking through it, you just put this in the description area, and they have a step-by-step process of, knowledge transfer of what you just did. So.
All right, thank you for that, Samantha. Man, are we in good hands with leadership like Joshua?
It's funny because I
said,
wanted to interrupt them, because I spent so much time in meetings with them, and I just felt like I was in the meeting for a second, and I was like, whoa, rewind that for a second, let me see that. And then I was like, oh, you're playing a clip from Friday from the, yeah. And so that's a half-hour show. There's a whole bunch of useful AI tools, and this is the thing. How do you find the useful ones? We know the downside of technocracy. I've talked about it for 20 years in my work. But the New World Order is using these tools to subjugate us. So we'd be kind of silly not to find the ones that help us get to freedom. And ones that get to freedom help us knowledge transfer and expedite workflows to help more people have better businesses, because freedom's based on opportunity, and the business entrepreneurism and the lifestyle of liberty and freedom, they go together. And if we lose one, the other goes. So goes the other. So we need to worry about meta freedom, the overall situation, but also how do we take the next step in our goal to pay the bills and move projects forward and help people with service.
yes, man, the AI genie is out of the bottle, but I think you raise a good point, Richard. I dream of an AI genie that serves us, not the other way around. And similar to my misconceived notions of sales, I think that it's far too easy for us to have a misconceived notion of technology advancements. It is just an extension of our senses after all. And this is just one of the most sophisticated extensions yet. And we absolutely need to get in front of this to understand it and to help shape it. And early in the week, I saw something with the Google come across my news feeds, and I shot it right over to Josh, and boy, is he on top of stuff. He said, yep, got it already. Thank you for sending it to me. So yeah, I am enjoying the weekly discussion about AI because it's here, it's coming, and we need to understand it and utilize it. Just like I could have been using better sales techniques for my professional career, I am not going to let this one pass me by. I am so thankful I am in autonomy at this point in time for this technological beginning. It is exciting, to say the least, and to have leadership like Richard and Joshua and everyone else in the space helping us find our bearings. I feel we can steer around the rocks and get to port. right, Dave?
Well, I think you're right. We need to pay attention to things out there in the stream. And I have some additional thoughts on the ethics of it. And one thought I have is when you say let's get ahead of it, we are not ahead of it right now. We have some work to do to catch up. And so I appreciate how much work there is to do to catch up, especially when Google and Microsoft have just taken over from Chat GPT or whatever the initials are. They're like out in front. And so the ethical piece is really important. So let's keep our eye on the ball here. But we are not out in front of it. We have some catching up to do. But I think it can be done.
How's my audio?
You're coming in
Legible?
good.
So I've never seen anything roll out so like each day this week was one up from the one before it. And just from recording that yesterday, last night ChatGPT just announced that they're going to be releasing its web version connected to the internet this next week for paid subscribers. And that is going to be, I can't even fathom what I was able to do with an old data set compared to real time analyzing, right? So that will be coming out next week. So I'll talk more about it then. But Google also, the way they're doing it is that you're going to be able to create your own data, like closed data sets. So think of, a Google Drive folder with a bunch of PDFs in there. You can create a chatbot who only has access to that, and then you can ask it questions. So think of that compared to Richard's brain model and being able to load that up. And I would say Google's doing this, but there has to be an open source version that's going to be coming to counter Google's monopoly over these things. So these things will be readily available to where we'll all be able to ask questions based off of liberty-minded data sets that should be really fun and engaging.
Yeah, and could you imagine a Chat GPT that had anchored itself in some of the information from Richard Grove's brain model? What kind of answers it could give to the public? That's always something that I think about when going through some of the short answers it's given me. Joshua, I just wanted to take this moment to thank you for the gift you gave us last week with your 100 digital products ideas. That was something that, in addition to all the work you're doing for this AI tools, I just found that list to be invaluable. There are so many things that we could get to work on, and how many of those things could you then use AI to help develop?
Yeah, the distance between concept to production and creating something of value and then generating revenue with it has never been shorter. And so I have a course coming out that's basically going to be called From Idea to Income, where I'm going to showcase some of these AI tools and how they can just really shortcut the route from having the idea or getting the idea right from that sheet to getting up and running and receiving money from it. So I'm excited to do that. And I was trying to collect everything and then release it in that course. I think I'm just going to start dumping it in the forum because it's coming out of my ears right now. And it'll probably be more beneficial to get people's feedback and collaboration on it than try and gather it all and then put it in the course and release it. It's just things are coming out so fast right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm just showing it here on the screen.
Thank you, Samantha.
with the AI course, is there like a Q&A part of it, or is it just going through the most recent AI tools that are coming out?
There's the podcast, and so I'm releasing that recording and releasing that on Fridays. And then the course from from idea to income, that'll be coming out hopefully in the next like month and before Pork Fest. And I'll give, I typically roll out an early version of it to autonomy students, like maybe the first 5 or 10 to get testimonials in exchange for free access. And then it'll be a super low price point for autonomy students when it's all said and done.
Because yeah, I find all of this super fascinating, but so many questions as well, and like not sure whether to trust it. And I think there's something that John Bush says, and it's not quite used in the same context. He uses it for, like, he says the inside outside game. So you have your systems inside the system with, you know, your regular bank accounts, but then you also have your backup, for example, grow your own, you know, fruit and veg, and you have some silver or Bitcoin. So I think the same can be applied with AI as well. As it takes over more and more things, people are going to get more used to doing less and become even less useful than we are at the moment. So yeah, keep our eye on the ball in terms of keeping those skills up to be autonomous in case, you know, it all comes crashing down.
Yep, use it while we got access to it and see how much damage we can do to the system and build ourselves up, right? And get us in position for total meltdown if it ever comes to that. But I'm in the right community to be exploring these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'm interested, so I'll start to turn up to the podcast and do the course too. So thanks, Joshua.
Yeah, my pleasure. And this is like testament too of, you know, I'm super fascinated by this, right? So I'm like researching and testing these things out. And then while I'm doing this, how can I, you know, inform the community? But then I'm also creating products and digital assets of in the same action. So I really hope to demonstrate, you know, taking what Richard's teaching and in the same action, getting the most amount of output done while doing so.
Absolutely. And is any of that going to be offered through the Agora Marketplace?
I got a lot up already on the Agora Marketplace.
Yeah.
There's some free resources down below on the homepage now of AI tool PDF that I just updated last night and added some of my new favorites. And then I have some ChatGPT tools and educational things there. And then I have my ChatGPT Trivium course that's over on it now. And I have like 4 more course ideas in development.
Yeah, this marketplace is growing and expanding, and yet again, talk about everything that we get access to through autonomy. You know, this marketplace is definitely a wellspring of extracurricular activity for all of us in autonomy. And don't forget, it's not just for courses. You can hop on there and show your love of autonomy. There's t-shirts available on there as well. Super cool prints. So that way the folks around you know, hey, I'm autonomous. Come talk to me. Do we have any pictures of the new shirts to show off there, Samantha?
I
I
just
will
put them
just
up.
have a check. Yeah, I'll just have a check.
They're at the very bottom for now.
Okay. I saw them before. It's on the Agora, AUTONOMYAgora.com. Is that correct?
Yeah. Should be down on the bottom if I saved it. Otherwise, it'll be up here.
I mean, I scrolled down to the bottom, but let's have a look together. But they look really nice. I saw them before when you shared them, but I don't think
Well, we're
so.
just doing it live here, folks.
Well,
That's the
that-
name of the
and
podcast.
that's not the home page. So go all the way back up to the top. Click the icon in the top left.
Mm.
Scroll to the top.
Mhm. Let me quickly.
Remove
I'm going to.
in the URL. Remove the login, and
Okay.
then hit enter, and then hit and now it'll take you to the home page.
Ah,
And then scroll
okay.
down to the bottom there.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. Look at that.
Keep calm and start thinking. Nice. Oops.
Wiser words never found their way onto cotton.
I like that the crown is upside down. Ooh, I just go buying now. Okay. Is there a limit to them?
What do you mean by limit?
Yeah, are there just about 10 pairs, or is it just oh, I like this one. On request.
Print on demand so you can get as many as you want.
It takes a while, so order early.
Just typing for some product placement. Okay.
If you wanted for if you want to get it for Port Fest, you better order now, because I didn't get mine and my sweatshirt in time for what I wanted, but so add another week to whatever they're telling you.
I think you can pay more for expedited.
I'm sure you can. I just didn't know I needed to.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. That absolutely brings in the next thing I wanted to talk about. For the students who are in here, but also those who will be tuning in on YouTube, if you're going to be at Pork Fest, Autonomy has a little kitchen, a little speakers booth, and we would love it if you'd come down and chat with us about Autonomy. It is a wonderful festival. So I'm told. I'm on the opposite side of the country, so I have yet to make it out there, but hopefully I can next year. But for those in attendance this year, stop by and check us out. Let's see here. Well, I think that will about do it for this week's episode of the Do It Live Autonomy podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for Samantha for being my co-host today and help me get through the technical hiccups of my old computer. And thank you to everyone who shared in this roundtable discussion today. You made this wonderful for me, and I'm sure wonderful for our audience. Join us all again next week. But first, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. And if you want to get to know how you can get autonomy, go to getautonomy.info and tell them Aaron sent you. Thank you very much.
Bye.